Sentry is but the first game in a line of 3 games, and the second one is going to come out next year, and it's not going to that you will be able to combine those games together. I'm going to just have to wait and see what happens next. Well, dear viewers, I'm happy to tell you that it has been indeed a year, and this baby is done. Sentry Eastern Wonders is a game about having a little merchant boat and sailing the high seas, transporting rich spices, some very hot spices, visiting faraway hot lands, and trading some more hot spices. Do you know, my tape melted, so I really can't make this video because we shoot it on celluloid and there's no tape. It melted. It's too hot. And actually, why in the world are you sitting here in this heat watching a board game review? Who wants to watch a board game review in this heat? I don't. Actually, I don't even want to film one. So you can stay here if you like and watch the rest of this video of nothing, but I'm going to go. And actually, I'm going to go and be by the seaside.
We can't publish this. What is this even?
Why not? What's wrong with it?
Because you clearly wrote this just so you could go to the seaside or something. Like, it's nothing to do with the game.
Okay, let's try again. Sentry Eastern Wonders is a game about having a little merchant boat that goes to places and eats cubes and then poops out other cubes. Collect just the right kind of cubes, deliver them to a port, and hooray, you get... The 4 spices you'll be juggling are ginger, which for some reason is yellow and not ginger, chilies, mint, and my personal favourite, mud. Each time your turn comes along, you can move your boat to a different destination. Most islands on this archipelago have markets, and when you arrive at them, they will allow you to build a trading station. If you have built a trading station on a previous turn or have just done so, the island will tell you exactly what cubes it is hungry for and what cubes it will poop out. And if you've got the cubes that it wants, great, feed it to the island and get ready for a better version of Hungry Hippos, because you'll get profit. Whilst these cubes technically differ from each other only in color, in actuality there's a spatial hierarchy going on. Ginger is a particularly abundant weed that you will often find yourself dumping like the collateral condiment that it is, whereas chocolate will take you multiple turns to trade towards to, because, come on, I mean, everybody likes chocolate, right? What? But unlike in other engine builders, you're not just trading spices upwards. In fact, your hold can only hold 10 spices, regardless of what color they are. So having more in itself does nothing. And each port wants a specific set of spices to be delivered. Get those to that port, and you will get yourself some very spicy points printed on a spicy receipt. See that there? These are spicy points. Actually, just tastes a little bit chalky to me. Each time you build a station, you take it from your player board and reveal some points. To explain why this simple and innocuous mechanism makes this game, we're going to have to get a little bit tricky. Each time you make a trade, you get a better set of cubes that you put in. And even though there's no island tile that produces cubes of the same color, creating an infinite loop, there is nothing stopping you from bouncing back and forth between 2 adjacent tiles that feed into each other. If I arrive at island number 1, let's call it Punlandia, and bring a single brown cube with me, I can turn that into 3 red cubes. Now let's take those 3 red cubes to island number 2, Punbug, and turn them into 2 brown cubes. Back to Punlandia, where I can take those 2 brown cubes, and because I can always make multiples of the same trade as long as I've got multiples of the input, I can turn those 2 brown cubes into 6 red cubes. And all of that on paper would be great, except because I've already built stations on both of those islands, I can never build a new one. And stations don't just reveal points. If you build certain sets, they will actually unlock cool abilities such as a faster ship or a bigger hold. And whilst I was busy rubbing myself with Old Spice, my opponents were busy actually winning the game. All of which is to reaffirm my suspicion that designer Emerson Matsuuchi, and let's not mince words, is a genius, because by adding a simple paragraph of very simple rules, he turned what would have been an unplayable mess into an elegant masterpiece. You are never bound to the same boring and comfortable. Instead, each turn propels you towards lands unexplored and unknown. What I wouldn't fault you for right now is assuming that this little engine that could is a speedy locomotive, a fast and furious 16 spicy boat. After all, you only need to pick up 4 of these for the game to end, and the faster you get there, the more likely you are to win. And if you have played the previous game in the series, you'll recall just how speedy those turns were. Century Eastern Wonders is a pick up and deliver game, which is a genre of games that brings all of the excitement of being a UPS driver to your tabletop. And even if a game about effectively planning out multiple stops on Google Maps sounds exciting to you, and believe it or not, it does for me, it is hard to ignore just how plodding this game is. And I don't mean just plodding. Oftentimes, it will feel like you and your friends are putting on a very naff version of A Quiet Place in your apartment. This is how this game plays out. You will spend multiple turns chaining spice combos, getting the cubes that you want, and then eventually delivering them for points, and then rinsing and repeating that until the game ends. And every turn that you wasted is a death sentence, because all that really matters in this game is efficiency. And if you skip but a beat, you will feel like you're drowning, or more accurately, like an idiot flailing in the water. I wonder if we have a good illustration for that. Which, of course, means that sometimes you'll just be sitting here and staring at this game in silence, planning out your next 6 turns in advance. And I don't mean to be disparaging to this game, because I think mechanically it is incredibly sound and tight. And actually, you could say to me, Efka, well, don't play the game that way. And do you know what? In most cases, I would wholeheartedly agree with you. It's just that beyond this efficiency puzzle, there isn't really much else in this game. Unless, of course, you're really into colored wooden cubes, which I am, so I don't know what my point is. Oh yeah, it takes a while. Thankfully, this drudgery is occasionally broken up by your opponents. If you want to build a station where one of your opponents already has a station, that will cost you an extra cube. And if you want to move your boat into a place where your opponent has a boat, that will make you pay a cube to them, which makes this a game of chess, where you're not really anticipating your opponent's moves, they just occasionally get in the way. And the more players you have, the less occasional it becomes. After a few games of Century Eastern Wonders, honestly, I was kind of ready to write it off and never make this video. And yet, this video is here, which can only mean that something happened. My first 2 games of Century Eastern Wonders were at UK Games Expo, but most importantly, they were with a complement of 3 or 4 players, making it a crowded experience in a crowded hall, on a crowded map, with some very crowded people. But as soon as we took this game to our cozy living room and played it with just Elaine and a cozy glass of wine and some cozy music, this game opened right up. I was no longer worried about the plodding, because honestly, in the 10 years of our relationship, we are perfectly comfortable to plod in front of each other. That's not a euphemism. Of course this is it. I mean, what was I even thinking? Just look at the artwork, look at the colors. This game screams, chill out with me. Maybe take off your clothes and have a relaxing bath with me, and then put on some house pants and light a candle, and let's push some boats together. Boo, 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 boo. What? But to make the argument for the pearl inside this very slow blooming oyster even stronger, if you have a copy of last year's Century Spice Road, you can take Spice Mommy and Spice Daddy and combine them together to get a Spice Baby. Century from Sand to Sea, much like Frankenstein's monster, is not something that should work, because what you do is you take the deck of cards from Century Spice Road and you put it next to Eastern Wonders and you just sew that together. How in the world? Now, each time you would move a boat, instead you have an alternative. You could, for example, pick up a card or even play a card from your hand, and just like going onto one of these stations, it'll let you trade cubes for maybe better ones or more abundant ones. And this seemingly crude guerrilla surgery turned Century Eastern Wonders from a game I learned to like into a game I actually can't stop thinking about. From Sand to Sea will reward you for planning, but it will equally not punish you if you make a mistake each turn between moving your boat or acquiring a new card, or then maybe playing one of the cards you acquired. There's an opportunity to discover an alternative route. In Eastern Wonders, if you made a mistake, well, it will make you feel stupid because it'll likely just cost you the game. Whereas from Sand to Sea, it is just an avenue to do something different. And that is powerful. Of course, I'm not recommending you go and spend £60 on both of these boxes just to watch an actual miracle of cardboard birth happen. Although having said that, Elaine, not loving each of these games individually, has said she would spend £60 just to be able to play From Sand to Sea. But if you already own last year's Century Spice Road, then I strongly urge you to explore this beautiful box. And even if you don't, do you know what? This is a pretty neat puzzle as long as you know what to expect from it. Whilst you're here, why not check out our SoundCloud linked in the profile. Wait, that's the wrong social media. I've never really done this before. I don't know what to do now. Oh well.